Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. Now we have behind me today a 2002 Renault Master van. It's the one we did the pump on, and we did, what else did we do? I can't remember what else we did now. But anyway, it's the one we did the inline pump on and the heater plugs. And it broke down. We did that job a few months ago, so you kind of think, well, maybe it's something we've done. Anyway, the customer described it to me and it didn't sound like it's anything we've done, which is obviously a good thing. We don't know yet, we're gonna have to check it out. But it's just got recovered and it's just got landed here because it was up the road a good bit, you know, a couple of hours away, and they were saying turbos and this and it didn't sound like a turbo to me from what the customer was saying. So it's now here. I haven't done anything to it, so we're gonna go in and we're gonna kind of go through the way I would approach this type of job and see what we get. I have to say, to me, it sounds like some sort of EGR valve problem. We've no engine light on, but just because we've got no engine light on doesn't mean we haven't got a fault. So we're going to plug it in, but I'm just going to start it for you first. It starts perfect. So you let everything go out. Starts up, no problem, ticks over, lovely. But it does not rev. So when I put my foot down, it really struggles to rev and it won't go past 2.5. Now that could be a safety thing. When you drive it down the road, some cars you can't rev them when they're stationary. But even this does not want to go down the road. There's just no power. And when I rev it, hopefully you can see this. Pumping out black smoke. The reason why I don't think it's a turbo is because normally a turbo engine would rev up better than this, and you would hear this really bad grating sound. I'm not hearing a grating sound. I'm not saying it isn't the turbo, but that's normally what you'd expect with a turbo, and I'm not getting that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly plug my scan tool in, and we're going to see if there's any codes, and if they are, what they say. So what I'm going to do is I've just plugged it in underneath the dash. This is what I'd use because it's really quick and easy. It's just my little Foxwell scan. The reason why I'd use this is just give me an idea of where to go rather than trying to fire up the snap-on machine and all that. So this is just really quick, easy, plugs in, and we're going to see what it says, and depending on what it says, we'll go from there. My battery's about to die, so can we get this in before my battery dies? Oh, are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? Right. This could die at any stage. Read codes. Stored. No codes. Go down to pending. No codes. Right. Hokey cokey. Right, so we have no codes. All we've got to go on is that it's pumping out loads of black smoke and there's no power. So what I'm going to do first, just because it is so quick and easy to do this, I'm going to use the EGR valve machine that I have from Sykes-Pickavant. So there we go, I pronounced it, hopefully. Just because it's really quick and easy. You can see, just where my finger is, it's dodgy light, but you don't need to see it. Anyway, there is the EGR valve right down there where my finger is. So I'm going to quickly plug the machine in, just put it through a cycle and see what it says. And the only reason I'm doing this, again, is just because it's easy. This is what I was trying to explain about when you have machines like this. Because it's very, very easy just to quickly plug it in, press the button and let it do it. I could go through scan data and all that and bi-directional controls, but that takes time. I just quickly plug this in, press the button, and within 90 seconds, I'm going to know whether it's good or bad. And then I can take my diagnosis from there. Saves the customer money, saves me time, saves everything. So there was, when I did the review on it, there was a few people, oh, that tool's very expensive. It is, but for something like this, it's gonna save me just so much time, save the customer time. It's not for the DIYer, granted, it is for someone that's kind of doing this every day. But when you have tools like this and it makes your life easier, it saves money for everybody. And it's just easier. So what I'm going to do, we have it plugged in. This is the tool. If you didn't see the actual video. This is the EGR valve cleaner and tester. So what I'm going to do is pull the connection from the EGR valve and put my connection in its place. Let's get you in a bit closer. We're plugged in. Well, let's say we're plugged in. We don't appear to be plugged in. I think we have power now. Right. Now, that's a good sign. This is where this machine comes in. That should be actuating that EGR valve when I'm pressing it once. It's not doing it. So, it looks like the EGR valve. I'm going to hold it down for 3 seconds and let it go through its cleaning cycle. That light is flashing, but I'm not hearing the EGR valve at all. This is going to be another long 90 seconds. That should be actuating that EGR valve. Open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close. Just put on a cup of tea. Hope you can see that. God, 90 seconds feels like it's forever. It's been 90 seconds. Come on. When you're not filming it, it flies. Now, gone to red. Bang. EGR valve gone. Simple as that. Just simple. I'm not trying to guess. I'm not trying to do anything. Bang. EGR valve done. Kaput. That's why something like this is absolutely brilliant. We might have other problems with this, but we won't know really until we get the EGR valve. We're going to have to replace that EGR valve, and there's a good chance we may be able to clean it, take it out and physically clean it, but it wasn't actuating, it wasn't doing anything. What I might do is I just might give it a bit of a tap with a long bar or something, just to see if we can maybe free it up, press the button again and see what happens. Be no harm in doing that. So we'll try that first. So it's still red. What normally happens with this machine is it'll go green for 3 seconds and then shut off. That's when you know the EGR valve is good. It did go to green, but then it went straight to red and it stayed on red. And I'm pressing it now and absolutely nothing. So what I might do, get a bigger bar, is just give it a bit of a bang just to see if that will do anything. No. Oh, I think I heard something there. It's trying. I'm letting it go through one more cleaning cycle. I'm going to hit it as it's going through its cycle. There we go. Can you hear that? The EGR valve was stuck. Now, I'm still not saying this is fixed. I bet this van will run better now. The other place that was up there, because it was like 3 hours away, this broke down from me. They said a turbo. Just didn't sound like a turbo, but I just put this down. There you go. That's why machines like this I just love, because we've got it working again. I'm not saying we will have to replace it. There's a really good chance we'll have to replace it. Would you really want to risk not replacing it? So we're going to replace it. But, you know, it just makes life so much easier. I can now ring the customer and say, right, you need an EGR valve. You can clean it, but this is a 2002 van. It's the original one. He doesn't want the hassle. He doesn't mind buying a new genuine one, so I'm just going to replace it. Yes, I could most probably clean it, and you might get a couple of years out of it. Now, see, that went to green. Oh, you missed that. That went to green and shut off. I'll just do it again. Still working, which is good. He doesn't mind buying a new one because he wants the van. He needs it for work, so just buy a new genuine one. He's not going to have an issue. That's what I'm going to suggest, but I'm also going to tell him, look, we might have another problem. There's no guarantee that it's just the EGR valve. There could be something else, but I'm going to let this go through its cleaning cycle. We're going to start this. This should be a different van now. And you'll see now with this, it'll go to green and it will shut off. EGR valve was stuck. It's now unstuck, but how unstuck it's going to be is another thing. It's not clicking as much as it should. It sounds very weak click. It's still not right. It's getting worse. It's getting better now. It's getting a bit better. The click's getting louder. Yeah, it's getting louder again now. Green, off. So, that's why I like tools like that, because it just makes life simpler. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to unplug this and we'll plug the original one back in, or the actual car one back in, the sensor back in, and we'll give it a start. I will do it all continuous shot so you can hopefully get the idea of the difference. If I can even get it off, that is. Unplug that. Shut up beeping. There we go. That's the original one now plugged in. So you just plug that back in. Start it up. Look at that. Straight away. Just the difference. You can actually see the black smoke that was there. Let's rev it up. Ah, come on. Still a bit of black smoke, but you'd kind of expect that. The EGR valve is still not working properly, in the sense of it's still maybe all clogged up and stuff, and the click did seem to be getting better, and then it got worse. But as you can see, it revs up to 4,000 straight away. It doesn't splutter. Fine, perfect. EGR valve sorted. Right, there we go. This little gadget saves so much time, so much hassle. We are going to replace it with a new one, and I know I'm going to get people saying, well, I would have cleaned it and I bet it would have been fine and this. Yes, you are most probably right, but like everything, you go down the cheap route of cleaning it, which fair enough can work, but 6 months down the line, if you break down again, you know, 2 months down the line you break down and you're in the middle of nowhere and it's at night and all, it's just hassle. It's just hassle nobody needs. I don't need the customer to ring me, oh, my van's gone again and this. He uses it for work every day. He needs something to be reliable. The only way we can really make sure it's reliable is to replace it with a new genuine part. End of story. Now, if he didn't want to go down that route, yes, I would have cleaned it, would have put it back in, but I would have said to him, look, I can't guarantee this at all. This could last 2 weeks, 5 minutes, 2 years, I just don't know. He's going to replace it, we'll film it, and yeah, it's going to be good. We still might have other issues with this. I don't know yet. I'm going to take it for a quick drive now, but there's still a possibility of other issues. So we'll put the EGR valve in and we have to test it again, just so we know all the parameters are okay. But for something like this, you see what I did? I was hitting it, letting this actuate it, freed it up, bang. Rather than going through scan tools and scan data and doing all that, I could have done it that way, but it would have took longer. This is just a quick test. This has saved me time, saved the customer everything. So this is why, you know, we have tools like this, just because it makes life so much easier. And if you can make life easier, why not? So I'm going to take this for a drive. We're going to order the new EGR valve, have it here in a couple of days. Might even have it in stock. I might even have it today. I don't know. But in the next couple of days, we're going to bang the EGR valve in. It is in a bit of an awkward spot, but I've seen them worse. We'll take this one out. We'll actuate it. We'll see what it does. We'll actuate the new one. We'll give a good comparison. We'll see how dirty this one is. What I might also do is clean it and see just how good it is after we've cleaned it compared to the new one. But even if it looked good, I'm still not going to put it back in because internally it could still be weak. I heard it, the noise was, it was a louder click and then it went like a softer click. So it's just not right. So once we get a new one, we'll flick the old camera back on and we'll finish the rest of this video. Right, I've just been speaking to the customer and he actually went to 2 garages. He broke down first, and one garage said, because he had hardly any fuel left, they said, oh, that's just water in your fuel. Fill the tank up and you'll be fine. So they went to fill the tank up, and obviously, no, it's still no good. Went to another garage, and then the other garage said turbo. Anyway, I've just put it back on the machine because I'm just going to take it for a drive, and as I was just about to get out the gate, the power went again. So I thought I'd quickly put it back on the machine and it come up red. So, I mean, yeah, it's obviously stuck, blocked or something. But I just want to quickly show you what it drives like now, and then we'll compare it with the new one. So it was working for a few minutes. As soon as I went to put power in it as regards to drive it, that's when it went peak tongue again. So I'm going to show you now what it's actually like. The machine had turned around and said it's bad again. See, there's just no power in it. If I hit on it again, I'd loosen it up and it might run better, but yeah. Now, I put my foot down. It's struggling. I mean, it's no power in it. It's just, ugh. I mean, that's my foot planted. It's just, yeah, just nothing in it. Just nothing in it at all. So we'll see the difference with the new one and call this a video. Sorted. Right, the plot thickens with this behind me. I was just speaking to the customer again, and we've priced up the new parts, which typical, they are quite expensive, but he's getting them. But he did say have a quick look underneath, because the garage that he went to were messing about with it underneath at the back of the engine for the turbo, because they said it was the turbo that was gone. Now I've just quickly put this up, and I wasn't going to show it, but once I've seen what I see, I said I'm going to show this. I don't know what they're at, but it's one of them things, if you don't see it, you don't believe it. Lucky enough, this doesn't invalidate my test, because I just assumed that as I was driving, the EGR valve, because it did kind of clug a little bit because we know the EGR valve is gone because we've tested it with that machine, which completely separates it from the vehicle and it runs it off its own power. So we know 100% that there's a problem with the EGR valve. So we know that and we've ordered that. That's not a problem. But I would have put this EGR valve on, gone down the road and think, oh, what's going on here? And I'll show you what I found. You see the turbo there and the actuator of the turbo. Let me just zoom in. Right, so we can see some rope. Let me get a torch in here. Right, now you can see I've got some light on. We have a piece of rope tied off to the high pressure lines for the steering rack. And on the top of that, we just zoom in. You can see the actuator of the turbo has been disconnected and they've wedged it open. Now, I spoke to the customer, he didn't know they were doing that. The clips have got lost. I don't know where the clips are. But if I had put the new EGR valve on, we still would have had a problem here. If I just do this, no, my hands are in the way, but there is, I mean, they've bent the actual wastegate pipe there. They've actually bent that. You can see the vacuum pipe is also bent. You can see the pipe coming off the turbo is bent and kinked. I just don't know. I just don't know what they were doing. I mean, you don't test a turbo that way. I was going to test the turbo just for the hell of it, just to undo that pipe. You can just see it here. You can't, where my finger is, undo that pipe there and see if there's any play in the turbo. But I mean, what is going on? I had to show that because nobody believed me otherwise. But I've got a feeling now, if I connect that back up, we should have a lot more power in this van. We still have a problem with the EGR valve, and I know, like I said, I know I'm going to get people so you can clean it. We're putting a new EGR valve in, end of. It's going to be better, end of story. But I would have put that in and come across that problem. I don't know. One guy says it's water, so put more diesel in it. Well, what about trying to get the water out if it's water? No, putting more diesel in it isn't the answer. It wasn't the problem anyway, but that's not the answer. Taking off that and jamming it open, the turbo can't build boost. It can't do anything. That's... Right, let's start this up now. What I've done is I've just put on the actuator of the turbo, and I've got a temporary clip. It's not the right one, but it should hopefully do enough for me to test it. I'm not going to rev it up in the shed because I have a feeling it's just going to pump out black smoke because the turbo now is kind of working. Let's just get it out of here. Now, let's see what it revs up like. Oh yeah, a lot better. We still have, oh, you can't see. Hope you can see that. Still have lots of black smoke, but we know the EGR valve is buggered. Let's just see if we've got more power. Oh, instantly. Haha! There we go. That's it. There's no turbo rattling noise, there's no nothing. Still not full power, but I mean it's a million times better. Like I said, I just don't know what they were thinking of. We're going to wait for the new EGR valve to come because it was stuck. It is buggered. It's the original one. It's done 124,000 miles. This is a 2002. So yeah, wait to get it in. I'm going to double check the turbo. If I do come across anything bad with the turbo, I will turn the camera back on. But I just thought I'd show you that. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. What they were thinking of there, I'm not sure. Right, we are back with this Renault Master. Now, it's been a journey. I normally don't talk about prices because it depends where you are in the world to what things prices are. We rang the main dealer in Ireland and we got the price for the EGR valve. I then rang the motor facturers just to get a price on a spurious one. It was about €100 more for a spurious one than it was from the main dealer. I then rang the UK and they just, well, I rang 2 places and they just didn't want to deliver. So what I ended up doing was ringing Northern Ireland and we got the genuine part for €150 cheaper than, well, we actually got a couple of parts. We saved €150 just by ringing the north of Ireland from the main dealer. Just crazy. The spurious one from the UK was a hell of a lot cheaper, but spurious parts, just don't particularly like them, especially for something like this. And like I said, I know I'm going to get people say you can blank it off and stuff, but so if you want to know, that's the part number for the EGR valve. What I also got was the gasket for it as well, and that's the part number for the gaskets. 3 10mm bolts. Now I've managed to get them off. I haven't taken it out yet, but I've got them off. But before I actually take them off, what I wanted to do was to plug the new one in to our tester, and Stephen is good enough to hold everything for us. So let's just get down here and I can show you what actually happens as it's going through. So the beauty thing with this little gadget is if you press it once, as you can see, it will actually open the EGR valve. So you can see that, and I press it again and it'll close it. Press it once, open it, press it again, close it. So if you've got it out and you actually want to clean it or test it or do whatever, it's actually easier because you can physically open and close it. And then if you hold it down for 3 seconds, that's what it'll actually do. Now what I did do, just let that click away. What I actually did do is I put this machine back onto the one in the van. The van's been parked up for 3 or 4 days and it just did the same thing again, completely stuck. So we know the one in the van's definitely shot. I just let it go through its process. Hopefully you can see that. So we'll get the old one out. We'll see what condition that's in. 90 seconds takes forever. And at the end, you should see a green light and it should go off. There we go, green light. And there we go, bang, done. So we know that one's good, but then it should be because it's a brand new one. Right, there is the original one. You can see the actual damage I did to it when I was hitting it. Hopefully I can get this out on camera. And of course it's wedged. Need to get my hitting bar. Now I'm going to see if I can do this, hold the camera and get this off. Normally I wouldn't get it off this way because we've got a brand new one. I don't care about damaging this. Well, there we go. We can get this in here and kind of, there we go. Oh, half it's actually stuck in. I don't know if you can see that. Sorry about the camera. We've only got half it out. It is actually in 2 bits, as you can see. But I don't know if I'll be able to get this out on camera, but we'll give it a go. Come on, she's coming. This is really awkward to do this, to film it. There we go. Like I said, if I was, I'd be taking a lot more care if I was keeping this. I can't do this on camera, and I have to take this out, and then we'll see what sort of condition it is in once I get it out. So there you go. It's not actually as bad as you might think. It's not completely caked up. It obviously is black, but it's not full of crap and completely and utterly caked up. What we can do is we can check this part separately because it's come off. So what I'll do, just plug the tester back in and just press it. Now, that should be opening and closing. So this is a prime example of why this machine is actually quite good. Cleaning wouldn't have done anything with this because this is the problem. This is stuck. That should now be open and closing, and it's not. So I give this a hit. This is a special hammer, by the way. Wait for the comments. I can feel it wants to, so I'm going to let that, that's now supposed to go through its cleaning cycle and see. Nothing. Completely dead. That should be clicking up and down, up and down. It's trying. When I put my finger on it, it's trying, but it's not. See, now I can stop it. That should be pushing that piston. Now it's kind of, now it, yeah. It's just goosed. You can see it's trying. You see, it's trying to do it, but, oh, it's maybe too black. It's lifted out slightly, but no. Just no good. Completely gone. So that's really a good, I'm kind of happy with that, because I know if this was just clogged, people just, oh, clean it, clean it, clean it. It's got nothing to do with the actual valve part here. It's all the actual motor. It's the motor that's completely gone in this one. Nothing to do with cleaning. So that's actually worked out quite nice for me. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to check in here that this is not completely and utterly clogged, and it just isn't. You see, I got a few little bits out, but nothing major. If that's clogged all inside here, you'd obviously have to clean it, get it all nice and clean before you stick the new one on. So what I am going to do, and again, I can't film it, you can just see down there. So I'm just going to make sure that it isn't completely clogged up or anything like that. Clean what I need to clean, and then put it back in with the 3 10mm bolts. Then we'll fire this baby up and see what it sounds like. So it just goes to show you, you can't always clean an EGR valve. Don't get me wrong, sometimes you can. Yeah, no problem, but you just can't do it all the time. So I'm going to crack on with cleaning with this. I'm just going to get like a little toothbrush and just go in around it, make sure there's nothing in it. You're not going to be able to see because it's just too dark and black. Once I've done that, I will put this on, screw it on, 3 10mm bolts. This one can be a bit of a nightmare. Make sure you have these on properly. Don't try and screw these in, because if you cross thread them, you're in trouble. Once I've done that, we'll then fire it back up. I am surprised there wasn't some sort of engine light on. I would expect the engine light to be on with some sort of code with that, but it wasn't. It just wasn't on at all. But there you go. I don't know what the criteria of this is actually setting with it. Maybe if it was jammed open, maybe it would set, I'm not sure. But anyway, it didn't set a light, but as you can see, completely and utterly goosed. And Stephen agrees, don't you, Stephen? So let me clean this up, get it in, and then see where. So there we go. There's the new one on. What I've got to do now is, as you remember from the first part of the video, all the turbo pipes and stuff, or the vacuum for it anyway, has all been kind of twisted and bent out of shape. So I'm going to have to sort that out. I still don't have the clip for it, the little E-clip. Cannot get a box of E-clips in Ireland for some reason. Just ridiculous. Have to order them from the UK. So they're not here yet, but I've got a clip on it for the meantime that will kind of do, or hopefully. All I'm going to do now is put the airbox back on, and we should be able to start this, drive it down the road and see what happens. Right, let's start her up. See if she starts. Ignition. Yeah, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It starts. It's ticking over okay. I don't want to rev it yet because I'm inside the shed, and what can happen sometimes is when you change the EGR valve or clean it out, it just kicks out loads of black smoke, especially when you rev it sometimes for the first time. So we'll just get it out before I do that. Now, see if it does rev up. Yeah, revs up nice. No smoke. A little bit, but not a lot. But this is the most important part. How does it drive? Oh yeah, the power is back. Left the window open, but never mind. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this now, apart from the tracking. Now, just put the window up. Goes to the gears, fine. Yeah, nothing wrong with that now. Just an EGR valve. So yeah, that's it. Sorted. Right, that's it. Job done, sorted. I've let it heat it up. Take it for another spin to make sure the actual EGR valve is doing what it's supposed to do. No point just testing it cold. Have to test it through kind of a full heat cycle. And it's good, it's not blowing smoke. It's got the power absolutely perfect. So that's it, EGR valve. No engine light, no codes, but you know, from the symptoms, it can be fairly obvious at times. And that's what it was. So yeah, look, as always, please like, share, subscribe. Links down below, links up here, but most importantly, don't forget, get your hands dirty. It's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from him.